Good morning, everyone. Creator Mom. So, I'm reading this book called The Fuck It Diet, and I am seeing like a common thread, um, just about like in life in general with restriction. And I found this common thread also while reading about like unschooling. There is this thing about arbitrary rules and restriction that causes obsession and binging. Okay, so like it's just this underlying like commonality, this thread in life that you can find in different areas of life. So patterns, right? So with unschooling, it is like it's the fear, and there's a lot of fear involved, right? Like if I allow myself to eat whatever foods I want, I will just never stop eating. I will eat the whole world. I will eat cakes and I will eat donuts and I will eat pizza every single day, right? This come from like an obsessive mentality. Um, okay, it's just the same thing like in unschooling. If I allow with supervision, of course, when I'm talking about unschooling, I'm never talking about unparenting or removing yourself from your child or leaving them to do whatever they want. Your support and your presence is always there, it's always available. But letting go of the fear that if I allow my child to follow their interests, they are going to be on YouTube. They are going to be playing video games all day long. They're never going to want to do anything else ever again in their entire life. They're never going to find balance. If I allow myself to eat these foods, I'm just going to go out on a binge and I'm never going to find balance. I'm just always going to do this every day of my life if I allow this, right? But the truth is, and the paradox is, it's opposite from that. And because, say, I am seeing it, like I'm seeing it in my children, um, that they are starting to have more self-awareness, um, in regards to things like, like being on a phone or video games. Like they'll be like they're developing that internal balance and that self-awareness for themselves instead of having somebody necessarily on the outside of them being like, okay, you've been doing that long enough, now you need to switch and do something else. You know what I mean? Like there is no fear that this is going to be taken away, just like with the diet mentality and binging. This book I'm reading says is a reactive thing. It's a reaction to restriction. So and generally in unschooling, when people start out and in this way of life, when you're learning the principles and all that, and you think that if I allow my child to do whatever they want or whatever, if I allow them to be on their video games every day, it's what they're going to choose every single day of their life, and that's never going to change. When that's not true, because when you remove the restriction, the obsession fades away, and they realize, oh, I can play this video game anytime I want and any day that I want. So there is no need to hurry up and consume all the video game like right now, every single day of my life. Because once you lift off that restriction, sure, they may be consumed with it for a while. But then when they realize the rules are not coming back, the arbitrary rules and limits, then they begin to find those limits within themselves. They really do. Like I'm seeing it with my own eyes and I'm like, holy crap, I didn't think it was true. Um, I don't know, like I didn't believe for some reason that a child can kind of start to begin to find their limits. Now I'm talking about like an older, okay, like you have to go based developmentally, okay? I'm not talking about like a 2-year old. So anyways, don't misconstrue what I'm saying. Um, so yeah, back to the whole theme about like restriction. And the idea is once we stop restricting foods on ourselves and everything becomes allowable, you don't trust the fact that you're going to find your own limits, just like I didn't trust the fact that maybe my children would start to develop their own awareness and their own limits with themselves without me arbitrarily on the outside being like, that's enough. um Anyways, and that's just one area. The parenting and figuring all that out is definitely like, it can be, and it is a struggle many days. But yeah, you don't trust yourself that you're ever going to find internal balance. And I think that's what the whole intuitive eating thing is about. It's about, yeah, when you let loose and you remove the rules from yourself, you remove the arbitrary rules, you might binge out for a while. Hell yeah, because you've been restricting for a long time. But when you remove that, you might go, 5 days and want to eat donuts every day. But come on, you know what I mean? It's just like, you're probably going to get sick of that. Once you give yourself what it is that you want for a while without thinking, oh, I'm just going to do this now and then tomorrow I'm going back on my diet, or next week I'm going to do this differently. No, like, this is it. The idea is that you will come to a sense of internal balance once you give in. And you will. Unless, she's talking about here that there really is a binge eating disorder, and that is like a diagnosis of people who really don't have, where is it? They don't have like whatever it is that gives you like your full signal. Yeah, she says standalone binge eating disorder is extremely rare and usually the result of congenital disorders where you don't feel satiation. I heard you're not supposed to pronounce it satiation. It's satiation, whatever. So they don't ever feel that. So that's a different story. But she says if you have ever restricted or dieted, by definition, you do not have binge eating disorder. Your binging is almost certainly a reactive disorder in response to past dieting or restriction. A body that binges after you put it on a diet is a body that wants to survive, even if the diet only lasts half a day. If you are worried about emotional eating, you're not alone. Most people are convinced that they are emotional eaters or that they have binge eating disorder, and they also often think that emotional eating and binge eating disorder are the same thing. We are still going to be talking way more about emotional eating very soon, but it is not the same as a binge. A binge is our manic, panicked reaction to restriction. It's the I could devour the whole world kinds of eating and is a result of diet and famine mode. But that doesn't help you if the binge is already happening. So what do you actually do if you're in the middle of a binge? What do you do during the horrible feeling of losing control and stuffing your face and spinning into the manic, rabid, compulsive food frenzy? The answer is to reframe the whole thing. So instead of putting a second arrow on yourself and judging yourself and saying, oh my God, I'm binging, I'm not supposed to be doing this. She says, look at it like, oh, okay, I'm having an awesome midnight feast tonight. I wonder where I'm still restricting, right, to cause this binge reaction. And then she says you can rename it, call it whatever you want. A feast, famine fixing, eating yourself to the other side. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that you decide that what is happening is fine and it is helpful. It's important to remember that wanting to eat a lot is totally normal and totally important and totally allowed. Then sit down and enjoy it, right? And then the next section says, does the fuck it diet cause obesity? Which I haven't gotten there yet. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on the whole thing about restriction because I'm like, whoa, I'm seeing a pattern here of what I've read about restriction, in regards to children and, stuff like that. And so it's pretty cool that if children grow up and learning self-awareness and what their own limits and boundaries are, because my limits and boundaries are not yours and not theirs. Like, I have one child that could eat bags of candy. I mean, like that's where his sweet tooth is at. And my other children are not like that. You know what I'm saying? Um, they have more, like their limit is way less. Their tolerance is way less for candy. Like, like somebody could eat 2 bags of candy and be like, oh, now that's enough. And we've talked about this. We've had conversations like, about how when your body lets you know that, hey, this is enough and this is actually disgusting now. And my child that does have more of an affinity towards sugar, and candy, he is starting to see that limit within himself too. He's like, yeah, if I eat, he had he threw something away. He's like, yeah, that was enough. Like, it's starting to get gross now. So he's realizing his internal limits with candy. They do find them because you're not, I mean, if you really think about it, you're not going to eternally go on and eat candy for fucking ever. That's just gross. And if you have awareness, your body's, you're going to notice that it's not going to taste good anymore. It's just going to, once you have the non-restricted mentality, you're going to realize, oh, my body is showing me a limit here. And you pay attention. So getting kids to pay attention to their signals, I guess, is, it could be probably very helpful, like to bring them into adulthood, to know their own personal limits and boundaries, not somebody else's outside of them. And, like I have another child who, like, his limit for like sugar and candy, like he probably wouldn't eat as much as the other one would eat in one whole sitting. Like his body probably would tell him a little bit sooner, like, okay, that's it, we're done. And then I have another one who, like, he can eat, like, he likes to eat raw vegetables. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the other ones, they don't like that, like, he has more of an affinity towards, like, raw peppers and, like, watermelon. So, really, to each their own, and everybody learning their own limits and boundaries that their body, the signals that their body is giving them, is really super important. And this way of eating, like, has always resonated with me. I've been a really no arbitrary rule type of person, like, lately, I guess. Like I mean, in regards to the spectrum of food that I eat, like, I'll never be like, oh, I cannot eat this food category now, unless you have a certain medical condition where, like, you fucking are allergic or whatever. That's not what I'm talking about, you know. Obviously, if you can't eat a certain food because you'll have a deathly reaction, like, then don't eat it. Anyways, but there still might be, like, restriction, like, oh, I can eat every food, but oh, I shouldn't eat that much. But you know what I mean? Like, there's still things like that. And in the past, I had been a bit restrictive, like when I fell into, like, a little bit of the veganism trend, freely the banana girl. Ooh. Or, just different things that you see online and you try it out. But I think it's just the most important thing is to not forsake your own body, and to not disregard our own bodies, because I feel like culture and even the church has us feeling very negative about our bodies, and that our bodies are just like meat slabs that just want to be lazy and fat and eat a lot and disgusting, and we should fast to put this thing down. Just all these negative attitudes on the body is not good. And so, and I just want to end off by saying that lastly is mostly about the mental stress of what we put ourselves through, because people can eat perfectly, or what they think is perfect, and still kind of have poor health, maybe because they're still stressed. They're doing it from a place of stress, from a place of anxiety, from a place of fear, like, oh my god, I have to eat this way or else all these bad things are gonna happen to me, or something like that. So I think that whatever we're doing and whatever way we choose that we want to eat or feel like eating, let there be joy involved. Let's do it from a place of, like, wow, I'm eating this way because I love eating this way, or, not out of fear, is what I'm saying. All right, that's it. Have a great day.